Alright, y'all. So, I am back with another video. I just watched a video on this girl right here. And in that video, I said I initially came to her, channel, her video in pursuit of a video on the red pill, right? Red pill community, red pill versus blue pill, the whole nine. But I came across that other video. It was more recent. I was like, you know what? Interesting topic. Let me go check it out. But I did say I was going to come back to this video because she seems like the type that's very informed on things. She does a lot of research on, the topic that's at hand. At least in that video, that's what it seemed like. So I was like, you know what? Let me go and knock this one out the way. Let me get off her head after this. I don't know if I'm going to be watching any more of her videos, but I was like, you know what? Let me just get this out the way because based on some of these videos, if you guys been watching them, my memory is shot. It's gone. It's like I'm drunk without being drunk. You know what I'm saying? Short-term memory loss, the whole 9 yards. So I was like, let me just knock this out the way because I'm probably gonna forget in the future. So here it is, the toxicity of the red pill community. Now, that's an interesting title. She always has pretty interesting title, at least based on her last video title, pretty interesting. So I don't know if I want to speak too much into my thoughts on what she is going to talk about in this video, but very interested to see, so let's get into it.
Let's see how much my hair shrinks by the end of this video. Hopefully not that much. And y'all, are you surprised? Because I'm not. Hey babies, it's Miree. Welcome back to my...
Miree. Okay, that's her name. I was just saying her name all wrong, all effed up. And I'm probably gonna say it wrong and effed up. Like I said, my memory's shot. Probably by the end of this video, I'm gonna mess up. Let's just get back into this stuff.
Channel. Today, as you can tell by the title of the video, we are going to be talking about the red pill community. I finally got the energy to plan it out and set this video up. I basically ended up spending 1 week in the manosphere, just going around observing, hearing other people's opinions, men's opinions on specific topics, certain subjects and such. Obviously, a week isn't that long. That's like really normal whenever it comes to specific videos. It really depends. That's how much time I spend around on a specific subject, just so I can go in as much as possible. Obviously, that's not long enough to be in the manosphere for me to understand everything. In this video is not going to get everything. It's just like the surface. Just like with my feminism and women empowerment video, I didn't even hit everything whenever it came to women. I made a community post and I asked y'all opinions. We're gonna get to y'all opinions at the end of this video, and ask y'all on Instagram too. Are there any channels that y'all recommended? Y'all recommended me some channels. Y'all sent me some videos. Some of y'all might have even caught me in some of the comment sections of these specific videos. Channels like The Roommate, Fresh and Fit, Kevin Samuels, Abba and Preach. They have made a red pill video that I did watch.
See, now I'm familiar with all those YouTubers. Not on all their content involving the red pill, but I'm familiar with all those YouTubers. So they all like in the same community, all dive into the same topic. So I just had to put that out there,
And I will link their video down below. They mostly react to things, but I still wanted to incorporate them. Jordan Green, Donovan Sharp, Self-Develop, Living a Life of Abundance, The 33 Secrets, Alexander Grace, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, Danica Marie Dope. I feel like I'm probably saying her name wrong. Y'all know I suck at names, and I'm so sorry. She was the only woman that I found, black woman at that I found, who was making content and talking about red pill, and I'm sure it's other women, but it was really hard to find. I'm gonna go ahead and give a disclaimer and say, why does this matter? Why are you talking about this? Why are you talking about that? It's a commentary channel. If you aren't here to discuss, get the hell up out the stadium. You can leave, as Queen Chama would say. Without further ado, we can get started with the video. Timestamps will be down below in the description box. What is red pill? What is a manosphere? Where did red pill even originate and come from? So let's begin with the manosphere. The manosphere is like an umbrella, and underneath this umbrella are other sections in itself. But one thing I noticed in particular, the races are separated. So there's a sector of black manosphere, there's an Asian manosphere, there's a Latin, and then there's a white manosphere. Even though they don't necessarily claim it as a white manosphere, they have their own space, and they end up flocking to each other, basically, which I do understand because the experiences of a black man is not going to be the same experiences of a white man or an Asian man. So it's the manosphere separated into their own sectors, and then their own sectors are separated into even smaller sections. There's MGTOW, men going their own way. There's the blue pill, the purple pill, the black pill, and the red pill. All these goddamn pills, but today...
See, I had found that out, like, first video I had to watch, the whole, like, you know, I thought it was just red pill, blue pill. Found out about the black pill. I was joking around about the white pill. That's an actual thing. I don't know if it's a video on it. I might make a video on it myself. Maybe that'd be pretty dope. But, you know, like, it's so many different layers to it. And it's ultimately, it's just mindsets. You know, it's ultimately based on your mindset, based on your experiences, how you approach, you know, the whole dating realm and things of that nature. How you are receptive to, you know, different types of attention that you may or may not get. So, you know, it's so many different layers to it. Like, she talked about the whole manosphere, umbrella, and all these little different sections under it, and it's like more subcategories under subcategories, all that stuff. So
they were talking about the red pill. Now, obviously, if you've seen The Matrix, you know about the red pill concept and the blue pill concept. And in this case, the red pill primarily dealing with facing reality and facing the truth. It's basically a space of where young men or grown men in general come together to have self-development, self-growth, to be able to bond with each other, to be able to communicate, and to have their own space. Which I do understand. We have our own categories and we have our own spaces of where we want to grow. And who doesn't want to grow and become the best version of themselves? But red pill really is separated into two different categories. So the first category is like the healthy amount. They get a healthy amount of the red pill where they are actually having conversations of improving themselves and making themselves better. They're having conversations about finances. They're having conversations about fitness, about overall health. And sometimes, every now and then, they do have conversations about relationships, but it's not the main thing, which I'm most definitely going to get to that. It is a healthy side of red pill, and not many people get to observe and see that healthy side of red pill, really. And I was one of those people who was never truly exposed to the healthy side of red pill. Now let's go ahead and get to the overdose. There are some men and some guys who end up overdosing on the red pill, and they end up going cuckoo, crazy, and it's the toxic side. It's the side that everybody sees and everybody associates red pill with. So whenever you think of red pill, you're gonna think of nobody but the guys who bash women because of how crazy big the toxic side has gotten and how much it really does represent, sadly, the red pill community. But we will get into that too. They're the ones who have the toxic conversations. That's the side that we're going to be talking about today and hitting on today. But it's one particular thing that I do think it's important. Red pill is necessary, and I understand why red pill is necessary. I was watching Alba and Preach's video, which I mentioned before. It made some really good and valid points, and I understand where they're coming from, because if you really think about it and you break it down, men do not really have any type of outlets. Men do not really have their own spaces. I can't really think of any like international like big platforms where men can come together and actually have conversations about specific things. If you can think of some, let me know down below, correct me, but I can't think of anything like The View but for men. And men need their own space just like women need their own space in order to be able to come together and to speak on a relatable level and to just overall have candid conversations. And due to the lack of space that men have, there are young boys and older men who do end up going towards the manosphere or towards MGTOW or towards the blue pill, the red pill, the black pill, whatever kind of pill that you want to get on. So this is the only space.
she said black pill. Black pill. That's hella bias. Don't go towards a black pill unless you fit that specific category that is going to put you at a like 10 out of 10. You know, that whole black pill thing is just complete BS, especially for somebody like me. Like, I walk in there and I'm like, yo, black pill, they like, get the fuck out type shit, you know? So
the only area that they have. And you also have to take into consideration that a lot of these younger guys do not have father figures. A lot of these younger guys may not have an older brother that they can look up to, or just a good older brother, a good father figure in general. So they have nobody but the people on the internet and online to go to. And if you want to be realistic here, it's a different level of love, it's a different level of relatability, it's a different level of communication that goes on between the relationship of a mother and a son compared to a father and a son. It's just completely different. A woman is not going to be able to relate to a man. And overall with that, I don't see an issue with the red pill community.
no, that's another topic. That's definitely another topic. I will speak on that. I will speak on that because it's a lot of women out here. It's this. It's, I don't know what it is. It's this new era, this new movement that's going around. That's like pushing for single mothers, celebrating single motherhood on Father's Day. You know, we don't need men. Blah say blah. That's not the case. That's definitely not the case. I don't know where that came from. Maybe it's like an increase. I haven't looked at the statistics, but I'm pretty sure there is an increase now of like single mothers. Because I mean, it is a large divorce rate, so that's probably also contributes to that. So, you know, that whole perspective of we don't need men. You know, that could apply if you don't have a child. But if you have a child, nah. Because even if you have a girl, she still needs that father figure in her life. But I digress. Let's get back into this video because I could keep talking and talking about that topic. Because that topic, I keep seeing it pop up over and over and over again.
Just the toxic side is what I have an issue with. It's just in a reaction to the extreme feminists that have been on the rise within the past couple of years. And the majority of people who watch me are women, and y'all could totally vouch for me when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to addressing the toxic side, not even just to the red pill community, just really any community in general, I think it's necessary. It's necessary to call out the toxic side of a specific group. You need to be held accountable and specific. They need to be called out and need to be fixed. And if a toxic side isn't really addressed like it needs to be, it can get really bad. So say, for example, when it comes to the red pill community, there's of course the good side and then there's the negative side, but you also have to be real with yourself. Like I said earlier, a lot of people, when they think of red pill, they think of the negative side of it. The negative side took over the positive side of red pill and is seen as a representation of the red pill community. Therefore, they're throwing basically the whole entire red community in a box of being toxic and being negative. And I was certainly guilty of that myself because of how many bad people that I've come across who were genuinely a part of red pill, and how many people have come to me who are part of red pill and were.
But see, that's anything. Like the negative always outshines the positive. Like it could be, you could have the red pill community, right? And you see the positive side and the negative side. The positive side could be like 80%, and then like 15% could be neutral, and that last 5% is just the negative. No matter how much that positive red pill community is present, the moment that 5% gets a voice, it just automatically outshines the rest, positive and neutral. It's just gonna be seen as completely negative, right? And that's across all platforms. That's not just red pill community.
Very nasty and negative and rude. And sadly, with any community, not even just with this community, the negative side will always end up overweighing the positive side. Simply just the fact that people are attracted to negativity more than anything else. Negativity really does still get the attention of a lot of people.
See,
so
when
I see guys complaining about or trying to fight tooth and nail to defend red pill, which I completely and utterly understand. You want to be able to defend your community and be like, hey, no, this isn't all of us, but at the same time, don't be shocked and surprised when people place y'all and put y'all into a box. And some people are not willing to stop and take the time and actually do research and see the positive side of the community. Simply just the fact that so many people came across the red pill community and they truly left a bad taste in that person's mouth. It's the same way with feminism. The extreme feminists make the rest of the feminism movement look bad, and a lot of men within the red pill community tend to associate feminists as extreme feminists. And they get mad at the fact that they're getting generalized, but then at the same time, they're generalizing women who are feminists. So number one, obviously bashing of women really been bad from what I've seen. Say for example, a boy or a grown man were to go through a heartbreak. Some of them go to this space with other men who have also been in a situation where they've gone through a heartbreak, have conversations with those men, and just overall end up bashing women. It becomes a bash fest. And I'm sure if you're watching this and you're aware of red pill, you've seen bigger creators also bash women, and they do it on purpose. And they do it really to get the views up because they know these other men also have gone through and like to bash women, so they're gonna go in and bash women, and they know it's gonna catch the attention of the men who've been doing the bashing in the comment section, and they're just gonna get giggles out of it.
I think that certain sector of red pill needs to be. They need to get their own pill. They need to be like Crimson Pill or some shit. Cause them guys, that's. I know what she's talking about, and like she said, it is probably a small fraction of the red pill community. I'm not so heavy into all this. I'm just really figuring this out, just learning about all this. But I think those people, they need to be somewhere else. But I mean, there's so many different pills that I just say, what, Crimson Pill community? It's probably something out there already, like that's titled as Crimson Pill community. I don't know, but it needs to be like on some next level, like, well, not next level as far as like progression, but like next level, like you've gone too far, like go over here, you know what I'm saying? Like where you have in certain like you know, you fill out certain surveys, they be like, what are you, like somewhat liberal or, you know, fully liberal? Like you need to, you know, be over yonder.
get a kick out of it and enjoy it. This just really ends up increasing their creativity, so they continuously do it over and over and over again. And a lot of these men go to these spaces in order to get validation and get the okay to bash a woman from other men. And I've looked at these conversations or just listened to these conversations, and it's so bad to the point where I'm really convinced that they deep down hate women. Really, the people or the men who've been heartbroken go into the community and red pill rage. They go into red pill rage.
Does that apply to women? Because I've seen the opposite when it comes to women. I've seen women get into like a bad situation with a man and they just tear their asses up. That's, you know what, she briefly did mention like the whole feminism and like the negative piece of that. But I wonder if do they have like their own like, does like the red pill like apply also to females too? That would be interesting, because I've seen that whole F men are dogs, niggas ain't shit. Like I said before, I don't need a man conversation. You know, that whole spiel. So that's just something that's interesting. Like you see it in one community, but you also see it in another community. It's just one community. Maybe because of the topic of the conversation is the red pill, but it seems more prevalent. Prevalent, is that the right word? I guess hopefully it is. Than the other community, depending on, you know, the context and what you're looking at. So that's interesting.
I cannot remember who said this. I was watching a video and the guy who had said this, and he described it perfectly. Like, this was the perfect description. They go to the community in rage and in anger. And the sad thing is, the men who end up going into red pill and red pill rage, they either end up coming out of it or they end up staying in it like they're stuck. They don't make them how they used to. This phrase pisses me off. Men talking about the modern day woman or versus the traditional woman. We don't, girl. When I hear the man talking about it and say they don't make them how they used to, they're really talking about the traditional woman, the woman who stays at home, cooks, cleans, lives with the children, and lives with the husband when he gets back to the house. When the gag is, and this is just obvious and very clear, very simple, it's not fair for a woman to be traditional and you to not be traditional, and vice versa. And then that just ends up going into clashing with dating and stuff like that, because men want traditional women but don't want to be traditional themselves, and women want traditional men but don't want to be traditional themselves. That was one of the main conversations that was had throughout the manosphere that I kept hearing over and over and over and over again.
I saw a video, right? I had just watched a video on Kevin Samuels. It should be on my channel. It's Kevin Samuels, and he was talking about I think he was talking to this bus driver, and she was talking about how she can't find a man because she had to go up the same complaints, like, you know, like, I guess none of these men are good enough for her or whatever. And she even brought up like the conversation of women now versus women back then, and he was like, yeah, women now, the value, they don't have the same values as they had back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when you go see this connects, right? The whole having a child thing, right? Now it's more acceptable to have a child and be a single mother, you know, have a kid outside of marriage. But back then that wasn't. It was a thing, but it was you were definitely looked down. You were looked down upon a lot harder than, you know, than now. And, you know, even to flip that, because she does have a point where if it applies to one side, it has to apply to another side too, the whole double standard conversation, right? A lot of men definitely do push for traditional when it comes to the women, but they don't have that traditional mindset as well. Because if that's the case, then, you know, you have to really push the idea of protect and provide. Like, back then, the whole idea of protect and provide was like heavy, because like financially, if you're looking at a household, the man was out working while the woman was at home. So once you start, I think once society started changing, that's where you start seeing that change in traditional. Like, me personally, I think that whole traditional mindset has to be thrown out, because, you know, if you want to stick with that traditional mindset, just the basics of get married, have kids, live in a house, man goes out to work, woman stays home, take care of kids, cook, clean, all that stuff. That shit ain't gonna fly these days unless you're like super rich and you could afford that. And even so, the way I grew up with both parents working, my mindset, I couldn't wrap my mindset around that. On top of that too, the marriage conversation for me, that's thrown out the window. I think that idea of marriage is kind of dead, at least for me, you know. But get back into this.
Anyway, and the sad part is some of these men truly have it ingrained in their minds and locked into their brains of where they want a woman to stay home. They want the woman to be traditional. She has to be traditional. There was even this conversation I came across where this guy was like, I wear the pants in the house. Can we take into consideration that the woman herself, especially here in the United States, is constantly shifting and moving? What we see as traditional right now isn't even going to be traditional years upon years from now because the woman is constantly changing and shifting. And men don't really see that.
What's traditional now? What is traditional now? I think we in a weird space where that idea of traditional still refers to back then. Because if you ask somebody what is traditional now, and then you ask the next person what's traditional now, you're gonna get completely different answers, right? Depends on how you grow up, or how you grew up.
That or take that into consideration. Men have never had to change or evolve. It's always been the woman who has had to change and evolve over the years. And this is also why women take independence as a big deal. I'm going to get into that, but let's take an example of women having to change. Of course, at one point in time, women were of the traditional woman, or what we see as today as the traditional woman. At one point in time, that's the position that women were in. That had to switch. Say, for example, when it came to World War II, women had to leave out of their homes and finally shift and get used to being able to go to work, used to working, used to building machinery in order to be able to help the men who had gone off and gone to war. Due to the fact that men were not present and they were going to war, then women had to shift and change.
I heard that during that time. I don't know if this is true. I didn't do research on it. I don't know if anybody's gonna watch this video. If you guys are watching this video, if you guys know, I don't know if it's true that during that time, like, women had to go out and play the sports too, because like we had no men for sports. Like, I think there was a movie on it where there was like the women had went out and played I think baseball or some shit like that. I'm just like, really? Like, damn, we was that desperate for sports. Like, we didn't have like no like high schoolers. We could, you know what? Somebody gonna take that and just be upset. Thinking like, oh, you rather see high school boys play than women? Hey, man. I want an entertaining game. I want an entertaining game. I want my players to be top tier or close to that. And I mean, if the high schoolers got more, you know what I'm saying? If they want it, you know what? Let's get back into the video.
Y'all have not changed, and that's something that I feel like y'all need to take into consideration, just like y'all want us to take into consideration how you feel in certain situations, predicaments. That's part of the reason why women take independence as a big deal, because at a point in time, women were never able to have any level of independence, so it's evolving and shifting. And some of the men are pissed off about it simply due to the fact that a woman is not going to be in the house anymore. There are women who are genuinely independent, and I'm not talking about the women who like to scream and yell, I'm an independent woman, I don't need no man. I'm not talking about that. If anything, I feel like that's really toxic, just saying women in general who are independent, don't shove it in their face. But I still feel like it's important to take why women see independence as a big deal. So when you say things like they don't make them how they used to, you sound stupid and really selfish. And I definitely get it. Whenever it comes to relationships and whenever a man asks, what do you have to bring to the table? They're not going to care about stuff like finances. They're looking at the more nurturing aspects of a woman, or the mental or emotional support that the woman can provide for the man in the relationship. I get that. But you still need to take independence into consideration and understand why we are the way we are whenever it comes to independence. And then this leads into the conversation, or what I've also seen with that they don't make them how they used to. That's part of the conversation is masculine women. Basically, women who exude and push off nothing but masculine energy compared to feminine energy. They don't push off enough feminine energy. Now, I will say this, I have come across some masculine women, and something that you also have to take into consideration as to why the woman is in that state, or why she constantly has to stay in that state. There are some women who have grown up saying their mothers have to push and do where they're on to be the mother and the father within the relationship, and they've gotten that energy from their mother, are that way because they've seen their mother live that way. And for some women, it is hard to kind of sort of turn off their masculinity and cut on that femininity. Some women were not taught to be feminine or taught to cut on their feminine energy due to the fact that they're...
And those are the women that are always complaining. I wouldn't say always complaining. A nice majority of those women are complaining about being single, right? You have to let a man take on that traditional man role. It's more like it's more like a biological thing, right? So no matter how aggressive you are, I guess you could say aggressive, I don't want to use that word aggressive, but no matter how quote unquote masculine you are, you have to at points fall back. If you can't fall back, no matter how quote unquote strong that man is, he's gonna feel like she's competing with me for the head of the household. Because no matter how much people push for that equality thing, it's always still bits of traditional that's still placed into the household when it comes to the man being the head of the household, and that's more like a biological thing. That's something that you just can't fight. You know what I mean? It's been like that for thousands and thousands of years, so it's going to take another thousands and thousands of years before that switch goes off in the head where, you know, it's perfectly fine for the man to fall back without there being any damage to his ego. So
mothers weren't able to cut on their feminine energy, or they really didn't know how, because like I said, they had to be the mother and the father of the relationship. But I feel like what's important is when you're talking about the masculine woman, most definitely have that same energy whenever you're talking about the feminine man. And I'm not talking about the physical appearance, I'm talking about emotions and character, and actually be fair on both sides of it, whether you're a man or whether you're a woman. For a lot of men in the red pill movement to be pushing and saying that, oh, the movement is about improving yourself and making yourself better, or working and focusing on fitness, health, on finances, there aren't a lot of channels out there who are part of the red pill community that talk about that heavily, or at least I haven't come across that many, no matter how hard I search. And then if there are channels who do have a rotation of relationships, finances, and health, and fitness, if you look at their channels and pay close attention, you'll see that the videos that are the most popular and the videos that have the most views are the ones that are talking about relationships and the ones that are talking about women. You can look at the roommates, you can look at Fresh and Fit, heck, you can look at Kevin Samuels. That's why Kevin Samuels stopped making videos on like fashion. That's why Kevin Samuels stopped making videos on like cologne, because he knew that wasn't getting attention, hence why he's going towards relationships.
Hey man, that's just being smart, man. That's if you find the pocket where people watching your videos, they reposting it, getting it all, you know, making commentary, positive and negative. But you gotta go into that lane a little bit more. You gotta dive. I mean, it's cool every now and then to fall back into, you know, these other categories. But if that's the main money maker, it wouldn't make sense to you know, shift away from that. That's just business. You know what I'm saying? Like this product right here is selling like hotcakes. This product right here, it's selling, but it ain't like hotcakes, baby. And we love them hotcakes. I grew up off of calling them pancakes. And then you got the different types of pancakes. You got the, you know, the blueberry, the chocolate chip always. That's gold. That's legendary. Legendary. Then you got the different syrups. I got going and on. I gotta talk about that because I'm gonna cut soon. I'm gonna cut. I'm gonna lose some weight. Hopefully keep a little bit of muscle. And you know, I'll be just ready to, you know, kill it. But that's besides the point. Let's get back into this.
Making videos on relationships and towards women. It's too much focus on women for y'all to be constantly saying that the movement is about improving yourselves. And there's nothing wrong with having a conversation about women and having healthy conversations about women and like how to be able to do better whenever it comes to getting a girlfriend or getting a significant other. I get that 100%. If y'all are going around saying that the red pill movement or the red pill community is really just overall focusing on yourself, then why are most of the videos that y'all are watching and y'all are feeding into about women? It's too much focus on women for y'all to be making a claim like that. Some of these channels are really made to profit off of young men's insecurities. This makes me mad and makes me upset because when I was sitting here and listening to these conversations and listening to how some of these people were talking, like the older guys or like the teachers or coaches, when talking to some of the young guys, it clicked at me. I'm just like, these dudes really do not care for real. They do not care about y'all for real. They do not care about y'all getting into a relationship. They do not care about...
Hell no, they care about that money. They care about that bread. Look, you know, it's cool that I'm helping y'all out, but shit, I'm looking at the views, I'm looking at the AdSense, I'm looking at the revenue. I'm like, shit, nigga, I'm about to get that Rari tomorrow. I need that Rari tomorrow. That down payment need to, you know what I'm saying? But hey, that's just the game, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all know that, but y'all just ignore that. You know, now that's not me trying to victim blame. But I'm just saying you got to be completely aware of who you guys are getting information from. You know, because it's only so many times somebody could talk about a specific topic without it coming off as redundant, right? So a lot of the times they talk about a certain topic, they add a little extra spice to it, and they flip it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they put the spice in before they heat it up. Other times they heat it up a little bit, they put some spice in there, they throw it back in the oven, you know what I'm saying? So hey, who's to blame, you or the chef? If the food is good, the food is good, right? You get what I'm saying? I don't get what I'm saying right now, but hey, you watching this video, maybe you're not watching this video. I'm just talking. Let's get back into this one.
Y'all's mental health, they don't care about y'all's business, finance, or whatever it is, they just want your money. People idolizing these teachers and these online coaches and forming parasocial relationships, and they don't even realize it. They don't even realize it because they're so emotionally invested in the person. This person does not care about you whatsoever. They just care about what you can do for them and what you can do to benefit them, and in a lot of cases it's to benefit them financially. And like I said, the watcher who has formed a parasocial relationship does end up getting emotionally invested into the person, to the creator, to the influencer, whatever the case may be. And with that, if somebody is emotionally invested into a movement or emotionally invested into a person, they will also invest themselves in other areas, and in a lot of cases it's financially, and that person will willingly give their money up online creator. That's why a lot of these coaches are making the content they are making and are really making a large profit. And some of them are even bold enough going around asking people for donations and saying, yo, where are the donations at? Where are the donations at? And I'm just like, why are you out here asking for donations? I don't know why it doesn't click. It's like, maybe it's because I'm not really invested in these people that I'm like noticing it, but they do not notice it, and that's just really how bad your emotions can have you messed up. Common bits of generalization and genuinely trying to make women look stupid in interviews. I already kind of sort of hit the generalization point of how when it comes to extreme feminism and the extreme red pillars, and how the red pillars end up generalizing the feminists, and the feminists end up generalizing the red pillars, and it goes back and forth. And in the end, it really does end up looking really hypocritical. Now, going into them trying to make the women look stupid in these interviews, girl, I could not handle it. I could not handle it. Oh my gosh. One thing in particular that a lot of them kept doing was moving the goalpost. Of course, there's obviously an interview that men end up asking a bunch of women, or just even one woman, a question on a specific thing, and she obviously answers a question. In some cases, or even a lot of cases, which is why they move the goalpost, they don't like the answer to the question. They go into pressing her. In some cases, some of the men have tried to intimidate the women to have them like crumble and fold during the conversation. They tend to press her. He rewinds the question, and he ends up asking another question that really does not have that much to do with the subject. It kind of sort of bounces off the subject, and it's not even completely clear. And with him asking another question and rewinding it from really the first question, she has to go back on her first response. The second response really ends up contradicting the first response, and then he ends up being like, but you said this and you said that.
I think she's talking about a specific YouTuber instead of like a bunch of YouTubers. I'm thinking of a YouTuber right now that just they ask women a lot of questions. You know what I'm saying? And then when you get that one semi-intellectual one, they kind of do what she's talking about. They move the goalposts a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's a lot of people in general that interview or speak to people of like about a specific topic, especially when it comes to the whole dating sphere. Is that a word? I don't know. I just made it up. If not, hey, I'll take credit for making it up. But you see that a lot, male and female. It just depends on who is the host, who is in control of the question/narrative. And you'll see them constantly move goalposts all the time. So it's just not segregated to one specific community. But going to this argument, to this conversation, most definitely, I'm in agreement.
And I'm just sitting here looking like, didn't you just ask this and that? How does that correlate with the first question? Of course she's going to say her response to the first question and then have to contradict her first response because you rewinded the question, changed the question up, and you're really trying to make her look stupid. This really irritated me because I've been in conversations with people where they tried to move the goalpost or tried to move the answer to make you contradict yourself and to make you look stupid. And some of these women do not clock it or realize it. I'm guessing simply just the fact that they're in the moment and they're like literally on a live stream with thousands of people. Whole entire
Shots, bro. You know who she's talking about. She said a bunch of women, live stream. You know who she's talking about. She might as well just say the name. She might as well just be on a show. Go out to Miami, be on the show. Call them out, see what happens. That'll be interesting. That would be funny to see. I don't know if she would do it, but that would be funny to see. entertaining to see.
Dragging her due to the fact that they had to go back on their first answer. And they've only done this with younger girls. And speaking of younger girls, some of the interviews need to do better. They purposely bring ladies between like the ages of 18 to 35. Say, for example, with Fresh and Fit, that's the oldest that I've personally seen on this one. If y'all can correct me, let me know. Fresh and Fit purposely bring on younger girls just to make the younger girls look stupid. They don't really bring women on there.
And eye candy. I mean, you don't want no oldie in there. Because, you know, I'm just saying, like, they got a bunch of young ones. That's what they want to get, the young ones. 18, I don't know about 35. 35 seems a little old. I'll probably cut that shit off at like 28, 30, depending on how she look. But ultimately, it's all about the appearance. They got a bunch of women there. They don't want like a bunch of like grandmas there. Like, that's just, that itself just looks crazy. Like, why are you here? You know what I'm saying? But,
different occupations. At 18 to 35-year-olds were like maybe a stripper or might be doing OnlyFans. So where's the diversity? Where are the older women at with some sense? Some of the girls, and I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Some of the conversations or some of the responses that these girls.
Oh, here we go. She about to start taking shots. Pow, pow, pow. She about to start taking shots. We gotta. Jeez. She need to be on that show. She need to call him out. I don't know. You think she gonna get that invite to that Fresh and Fit podcast? I don't know, Coach. That'll be interesting to see. Like I said,
have had to done nothing but make me cringe. Because I'm just thinking, why do you think that way? They truly purposely bring these girls on just to make women look bad and to embarrass the girls, and they just willingly go forth with it. I want to see older women, 40-year-old women. I want to see 45-year-old women, 50, 60-year-old women up on there actually going through the interview and having a conversation. And I feel like if there were to actually be an older woman on there with some sense, she'd probably end up making the fold. I know somebody's gonna be like, well, that's not going to the.
I don't know. You know what? I will say some of these 40-year-old women, they don't have sense. Some of them don't. And I think it's in this era, it's pretty easy to find, you know, them 40-year-olds that don't make too much sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially with social media and how things are, you kind of get a feel for how somebody is. And I mean, if they wanted to, and they're like, all right, cool, we got this girl right here. She like 40-something years old. She's still trying to be an IG model. She's still trying to, you know, bust it open for these rappers and things of that nature. She could still be on that same intellectual level as some of the 20-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? So, you gotta be a little bit more specific on that, love. I get what you're talking about.
They brought Kevin Samuels on there multiple times. Kevin Samuels is like, what, in his 50s? They brought Donovan Sharp on there. They brought older men on there. You can most certainly bring older women on there. Alphas versus the betas, which is really corny to me, and I don't really understand considering the fact that alphas and betas really isn't a biological concept for human beings. But anyway, an alpha male is a man who is at the top of the social hierarchy. A beta male, really a lot of alpha males see them at the bottom of the barrel, or they come in second compared to alphas. They see them as simps. They see them as submissive. There are some.
Wait, let me go back and talk about that. I think it blatantly wasn't like alpha male, like in relation to like, because you know she said it doesn't apply to humans. I think back in the day it kind of did, because you know, but it wasn't used in the sense of like animals, like wolves are like, this is the alpha of the pack and then these are the betas. It was more like which man is seen as this is way back in the day, like, you know, hunter-gatherer type of mindset, where the male that is seen as much more quote-unquote masculine, that's, you know, got some battle scars, gone out there to, you know, hunt and kill the animals and all that and bring the meat back, that was the more attractive male. That was the quote-unquote alpha male, and that male was the one that was able to pass down their genetics, their, you know, genes to the next generation, because more women were attracted to them. But I mean, that context, I get what she's talking about, but if you want to just take it for a more evolved version of what the whole alpha versus beta male conversation is now versus, you know, back then, that's pretty much what it is.
Alpha men who do end up calling other men beta men for some of the most simplest things from what I've seen, for simply respecting a woman or disagreeing with something. It reminds me of pick-me's. Ladies, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about whenever it comes to pick-me's. Pick-me's, and in this case, I mean, there are some women who end up calling another girl a pick-me simply just to the fact that she might disagree with her on something, or she just genuinely agrees with something that a man has said. And I certainly don't think if a man is actually a true alpha, that he goes around screaming that he's an alpha male, or that he's an alpha man, and that he's at the top. You're gonna let your persona and let your character give off that type of energy. You don't have to go around proving yourself to everybody. Please stop. Hitting the wall shouldn't even be a thing. Like, I'm gonna show the video real quick.
So right now we are talking about the wall and the age that most women hit the wall. Now, for me personally, I choose not to date women over 30 years old. For me,
I don't know why I thought 30 in my head as well. I think they're talking about, you know, of course, looks, but like mostly it's definitely looks, right? It's looks, and then also to, you know, the whole biological clock, if you want to throw that in there, you know, that mid 30 range, that's where it gets kind of late 30s. That's when it's like you value the ability, if you have a kid, is kind of like super low, and you know, some cases completely out the window. And you know, a lot of men still kind of judge women based off of that, right? If you aren't able to bear a healthy child for me, then what's your purpose? You know, that's some biological mindset that still comes into play, whether men acknowledge that or not. It's still subconsciously there. So
me, that is the wall for most women. Most women actually begin to actually lose their looks in their mid-20s. Some as young as 25, depending on how well or how piss poorly they've taken care of themselves, their diet, how much they drink, how often they smoke. Okay, all these factors are going to come into play. So some women will actually hit the wall before 30. A woman's prime really is her late teens and early 20s. Okay, that is a woman's.
That's kind of sus. They prime late teens, early 20s. What's before that? You know what I'm saying? Because if you're looking at sports, right, they'll be like the prime for an athlete, males of course, is like 20, late 20s, 28 or so, or even females, right? I think the prime is like that late 20s, 28, 29, 27 range, right? But before then, you still able to compete. You still could kill it. So if you a grown man, you saying the prime is like late teens, that means you still, before then, you still, you know, going for it. You still throwing them in there to compete. I don't know about all that, coach. You gotta clean that up.
Prime, generally from the age of 18 to 23. That is typically a woman's prime for me.
I've only seen like a small amount of men in red pill talk about this. I don't see that many people talking about it that much. So basically, whenever it comes to hitting the wall, men believe that they can't hit the wall, specifically by the age of 30. Of course, this can vary from person to person, but the difference between the two is men believe that they aren't going to be able to hit the wall because it's based off a financial aspect, whereas there are women who can hit the wall. Simply just the fact that their looks can change over time, as if men's looks don't change over time, as if money doesn't run out. That really sits.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is gonna sound fucked up, but it's just facts. A lot of the times, a woman's value, and I think we're kind of getting away from this a little bit, but it's still, a woman's value is in some cases is really based on their looks, right? And I mean, you see Instagram all the time, right? You see someone that's posting revealing photos, and of course it's somewhat of a false equivalent, but it still kind of holds relevance to the topic of conversation when it comes to just physical feats, looks, and things of that nature. Once they hit a certain age, it's not, you know what I'm saying? You hear the it's not the same. You hear the slogan, the statement, it's new girls turning 18 every day. You know what I'm saying? So you don't hear that about men. Men is always different. Men are the ones that have made that rule, and due to that, they don't fall within that type of category, right? Men they're more valued based upon what they can do, what they can provide, how much they're worth. And shoot, statistically, I can't name the stats, can't name the exact article, but from what I dived into, what I remember, Men don't hit that financial, they don't get their financial footing on average until like about 35 or so, that mid 30 range. That's when they kind of get the groove of things. And if you look at it, if you get the groove of things around that 35 range, you're able to protect and provide. You're not going to want a woman that's kind of quote unquote old and washed up. You want something a little fresh, you know what I'm saying? Not too fresh, like that one guy where he was like 18, late teens peak. That's crazy. But that mid 20 range, that's cool. That's good. You know what? That's just me
at some point
talking
in time, what goes up must come down, and you can always be humbled, and stuff can always be taken away from you. Men who follow and believe this concept in the red pill community don't date women over the age of 30 because in their head the woman has already hit the wall and her looks are deteriorating. Now, I want y'all to look at some of these comments. I am 38 and have no problem getting women in their early 20s. The problem is they look great and all, but as soon as they open their mouth, it's game over. The 18-year-olds aren't in direct competition with the 30-year-olds. The 18 ones aren't looking to cash their chips. They just want to have fun. Why are you in your 30s or like even in your 40s going for 18-year-olds? Y'all already know how I feel whenever it comes to age gaps, whenever it comes to older men purposely going for younger women. Just remember, that hot chick in school that treated you bad will hit the wall. All a matter of time. The sky's the limit for men. Why are y'all still in your 30s and 40s mad over a girl who broke your heart in high school? The problem is young women have young minds, and that is not attractive. I guess it depends on a man's individual attraction for a woman. And somebody else at the bottom of the comment said, yeah, they're dumb children. So they know, like they actually know. 18 and 19-year-olds, they're young. In my mind, I've already had this conversation. I see them as younger. Even though legally they're an adult, mentally you're still technically a child. People look at, like, whenever you turn legal or turn 18 years old, you go from the mentality of a 17-year-old to a 35-year-old, and it don't work like that. Just because a person is turned 18 years old and they are legal, that does not mean that it is morally okay for you as a 35-year-old man, a 40-year-old man, a 45-year-old man to be going towards an 18-year-old.
See, now that's just weird. That's just weird. Now, if you want to talk about the whole maturity thing, and people have made the argument that the 18 shouldn't be the time someone should be considered an adult. It should be what, like the 20. I know at one point they said 21 and got pushed back to 23. I'm not sure if it got pushed back again to 25, but I think 23. I think that's where they somewhat of agreement when it comes to just the development of the brain, the full development of the human brain. I forgot what it's called, but it's the part that's responsible for the part of the brain that's responsible for making decisions, and when it comes to making those decisions, weighing the pros and the cons of specific decisions, seeing the entire globe of things. Because when you're younger, that part of the brain is not fully developed, which is why a lot of young people make so many mistakes, because they do not see, or they do not fully recognize the cons of certain decisions that they make. But either way, going back more into this, 45 and 18 is funky. That's weird. Like, I could see 35 and like 25 maybe 26. I could see 35, 25, 35, something like that. But like, when you 40 something, and I think at that point, I think 40, 45, and maybe 32 could work. I could see that rocking. But that big ass age gap, 45 and 18, bro, like, you got that's nasty.
Hitting up an 18-year-old. Some of them like to say, well, younger women like older men. Well, a lot of the cases, a lot of times, it's sadly for money. I'm gonna hit money real quick. I will say this, and I can say this, there are some younger women who do like older men, but it's rare. It's not very often. And some older men, I've even said this, and some older men have gotten so mad at me, but it's just like, don't nobody want no, they might end up wanting you simply due to the fact that you have money. Now, let me get into money real quick. What genuinely, not necessarily irritates me, but it really confuses me, because it's men like this who say that women are nothing but gold diggers and women want them for their money, but at the same time they go around flaunting their money and promoting their money just to attract women. So what the hell do you expect? But I feel like it's both men and women's fault whenever it comes to stuff like this, Some men genuinely do this. They want to have control over a woman whenever it comes to finances. They want to financially manipulate the woman. They want to feel in control and they want to feel in power. And some men are just genuinely shallow and think money makes them who they are. And then on the other end, for women in particular, there are a lot of women who would suffer and face disrespect just to get a check. Y'all are out here listening to city girls saying, go out there and get the bag and get the cash from them. Y'all seen Jada Waiter. She used to get cheated once a freaking month and she got showered with gifts and jewelry and trips. And then y'all see Sweetie out here talking about if he can get you a Birkin, don't deal with him. If you can't pay for your bills, don't deal with him. Meanwhile, she was getting beat the hell down. Some of y'all actually take these women into consideration and go based off what they're rapping about. And I might be called a pick me for this, but you also have to be responsible and be realistic with yourself. Part of the reason why some men think it's okay and think like this and have this mentality is because there are genuinely women out here who do not have respect for themselves and would rather be getting beat down and get a Birkin bag from a man then leave. Have some respect for yourself. High value is not high value and it's inconsistent from person to person to person to person. Every single time I saw a content creator talk about a high value man, each and every single person had a different definition of what a high value man was, or they went based off Kevin Samuels' definition, which is a man who had a lot of money. And it's a lot of men who think that way and have that mentality. Kind of going back into my last point and actually thinking like they're high values to the fact that they have money, when it's just certain things and certain conversations that I've listened to that genuinely prove to me and show.
Definitely, it's more towards more when it comes to high value, but that's as far as like, you know, personality, career, things of that nature. But you know, like I said before, a lot of the times a man's value is based upon their financials, and that's all people really care about, right? Unfortunately, you know, they don't want to take into consideration their maturity level. They don't want to take into consideration you know, their lifestyle and the way they maneuver and the way that they see life. They don't want to take that into consideration, right? But ultimately, it still does revolve around finances, right? You can be the nicest guy, you could be the smartest guy, you could be the wisest person. But if your financials aren't right, can you really be considered high value, especially when it comes to the dating realm? I don't think so. You know, so that's one thing that is, I think, and is very common when it comes to the whole high value conversation. That's the one piece that is extremely consistent, that is in the dead center of that high value conversation.
Told me that the ones who claim that they are high value really are not high value. And if you are a high value person, you're not going around screaming that you're a high value person. Your character shows that. Not only that, I don't think a high value man would have the time to be on YouTube every single day. Next, graduating from the red pill shouldn't even be a thing. Having a phase of red pill shouldn't even be a thing. Now, I get the healthy side. I'm specifically talking about the toxic side. I was just listening and I was watching a live, and one of the things that popped up and it really intrigued me was there were these men who were talking about there are some guys who end up, are grown men who end up graduating from the manosphere, or graduating from red pill, or they get out of this phase, the toxic phase of red pill. Why do people think, or why do some men think that having a red pill phase is a healthy thing, a toxic red pill phase is a healthy thing? If anything, it's a dangerous phase of just being a genuinely toxic person, especially when it comes to bashing women. I was even talking to one of my subscribers and saying you have to be very careful whenever it comes to consuming content, especially when it's negative of the opposite gender, because it can really morph your mentality and morph your way of thinking whenever it comes to the opposite gender. And it's gotten some people to the point where they genuinely hate the opposite gender and think it's okay to bash them, and they genuinely think it's okay to be a toxic person. And some of them go so far as being okay with perpetuating toxic masculinity and at the same time blame it on women. Now, my overall thoughts, I don't think I could really put this in a category, but it's something that I truly noticed when I was listening to certain conversations, that a lot of these men who are creators, a lot of them are trying their hardest to be like Kevin Samuels, or they worship and idolize Kevin Samuels. You can listen to their tones, listen to the way that they talk to people, listen to just the overall bashing and everything like that, and it doesn't.
But that's just in general. That's just in general. Once you see somebody extremely successful in something, you have all these other creators, right? Are they really creative or are they just copycats? That's for you to choose. But anyways, you see all these other creators come in and try to copy their format, whether it's the way the lighting is, or the way the setup is, or how they speak, how they dress, things of that nature. I always try to copy something just to get a piece of that fan base, because he saw that it was successful in one arena, so they try to bring it there so they can make some bread and become high value. You get what I did there? Brought it all the way back around. Boom. High value finances. They want that moolah. They want that bread so they can get them 18-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? It's all about them 18-year-olds. 16 in certain place. You know what? Not R. Kelly. Not R. Kelly. Let's get back into this.
Downright, and it doesn't work because you can tell that they're trying to pretend to be another person. They're trying to be another person. It just doesn't work when you're trying to copy somebody else or copy somebody else's method. Like I said earlier, I did ask y'all's opinions and what are y'all thoughts on the red pill community or like the manosphere. I started following the red pill community because of bad experiences I had with the pink pill movement. I'm a young black male, and originally I started watching this one channel to get a different perspective.
See pink pill, see all these different pills, man. They got the red pill, they got the blue pill, heard about the black pill. I was joking about the white pill. The white pill is real. Purple pill, they got the pink pill. What's the pink pill? Is that one level down from the red pill? You got pink, then you become red, then you become, like I said, crimson. I don't know, coach. Ruby, the ruby pill. That'd be fire. You know what? Get back into this.
Colorism. At this point, I didn't know what quote-unquote pink pill or quote-unquote red pill was. At first, everything was good, but then the channel started to bashing black men for every little thing. That's why I became part of the red pill community, but honestly, they aren't any better. I just hope black men and women can learn to love each other again, because the whole gender war is getting out of hand. Two things in particular. Like I said, be careful whenever it comes to content that is bashing the other gender. There are even some channels that I used to watch myself that I had to end up leaving because it was just getting toxic because they were bashing men. And I'm just thinking, girl, you going a little too far. I gotta go behind.
Call them out.
Like I said earlier, the manosphere is like the big umbrella term, but there are also the black manosphere, the Asian section of the manosphere, the Latin section of the manosphere, then the white. I've been in the area with the black manosphere, and I can honestly say there's also the healthy side of the black manosphere, but there's also the toxic side of the black manosphere that's very disgusting, and it's really dealing with nothing but bashing black women. All these red pill enthusiasts should watch Sopranos. Would feel like a cold shower. Also, it's very American. People don't talk about that in France. I was thinking about this, and I'm just thinking, I wonder if other people in other parts of the world do have a red pill. I really couldn't find any other people or other men in particular from other parts of the world, except for one, and I think it's, what's his name? I forgot. I can't remember where he's from, but I know he's not from the U.S. You can tell from his accent. Alexander Grace. Agree, it really is an American thing, and you don't see many other people of other nations talking about it. I think the manosphere is a necessary phenomenon and reactions to some of the extremist feminist rhetoric, which has been normalized in so much of our pop culture. Even if I disagree with many of the manosphere talking points, I still appreciate it as a much needed counterbalance with the extremist progressive feminism, which dominates so much pop culture, and it does. You can look me in the eye and tell me that over the past couple years within our society there has been an increase whenever it comes to extreme feminists and feminists going too freaking far. That's also why I'm not really dealing with it or tapping into it. As much as I hate them, some part of me still feels sorry for the young men they trap. It's usually young men who are lost in life and need some kind of light. They come in like father figures and just manipulate these young men's mind, and now we have a generation full of woman-hating little boys. And there are some content creators who are a part of the manosphere or the red pill community who do make their content just to make a profit and just to manipulate younger boys and profit off of their insecurities, and it's disgusting. As a young black man, I don't like it. It's stupid because all they do is talk about women. It's sad because most of the red pill are weird black men who talk down on women, especially their own, so I don't like, and they teach men how to hate women. But it is a lot of hate on the toxic side. I'm not going to speak on their behalf of all men here because I'm just one dude, but a red pill is needed for men in some areas. I'll be interested to see a woman's perspective since I don't hear from them too often. And like I said,
see, that's why I watched her video too. I had brought that up, I think in the last video. I don't know if I brought it up in this video, memory shot, but I definitely wanted to see the opinion of a woman on, you know, this topic of red pill, because I always see males talking about it. I think she mentioned it was like one female talk about it, but mostly males talk about the whole red pill community because it directly affects them. But you know, just seeing a woman's perspective on that is very interesting. Just the way that she broke down the last video, I was interested to see how she would break down this one. So
it is necessary and needed. Men really don't have outlets when it comes to going into red pill. They have no choice but really go into, not really don't have a choice because there's a positive side, but some of them still end up going to the toxic side of it. Kevin Samuels is unnecessarily rude to the women that call it.
Something else I would love to pop in here and say is y'all can't keep blaming Kevin because the women who go on call in set themselves up. They either are truly getting paid from this or they really are that insecure that they would end up calling in thinking that the conversation will change or that they'll be able to switch up the conversation when they can and end up embarrassed. You're literally setting yourself up. Just stop calling in. You can't completely blame Kevin for everything.
Somebody reply.
that's facts. Y'all call in, and you guys expect for him to give you advice based upon what you want. He's just gonna lay it out there. You've seen what he's done before in the past. If he's bashed all these women who have the same feats as you, not necessarily physical, but your lifestyle and things of that nature, what do you think he's gonna do to you? Come on now. So you guys always blaming Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels, like, he hates black women. He's disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, y'all came up there, and y'all, are the ones that pretty much gave him the platform. So he's like, look, this is what y'all want. This is what I'm getting the views off of. I'm getting paid off of. And y'all keep coming in. So why would I cut it off? I'm going to keep on going. And if it does start to run dry, I can always flip it. Because he seems like the type that's, about that money. So he's probably going to know when his shit's dying out. And he's going to have to, rework it. And he probably will. So y'all the ones that gave him that platform. You can't be upset with him over that.
That commented said that he's like that with men too. I've come across multiple men who have said that, and it doesn't make it any better because no person deserves to be called up. He literally, I said in that quote, a fat fuck. Nobody deserves to be called something like that, especially a person who might have.
Yeah, but that shit was mad funny though. I don't know about that fat fuck one, but it was this one time he was going in on this one dude. I was like, God damn. He just cussed his ass out and cut off the phone call. I said, shit. Damn, he's ruthless. He don't give a fuck. It's just fucked up, but it's fucking hilarious. Cause y'all decide to go on there and talk to this man. What do you think he gonna do? Oh man, you doing good, bro. Great job. Keep it up. You about to get all the women out in these streets. It don't work like that, coach.
Low self-esteem, you can have some type of respect for them and help build them up, but be true to yourself and be honest. People always think that whenever it comes to being real with a person, you have to be rude and super duper blunt, but you can be real with somebody and still be kind to the person. I think the top and the smartest pink pill and red pill influencers should get together and have a discussion. Neither side ever debate anyone on the same intellectual level, so they always seem like the opposite side is wrong, so more people flock to their side of choice. Men usually get dumb entitled women on, and then the women get dumb ghetto aggressive men on, especially the Fresh and Fit podcast. They only get attractive but not very smart women on the battle against very smart and opinionated men that know what they're talking about. I looked at this comment, I was just like, yes, this is exactly what I was thinking of, what I was talking about. They speak, I'm just like, why? Why are you setting yourself up? Man, reading these comments, y'all clearly don't know what red pill community is even about. Like I said earlier, the negativity ends up outweighing the positive side of the red pill community. I feel like not enough people are calling out the negative side of the red pill community, hence why the negative side is taking over as much as it is. I think women in the comments saying they have a problem with that community generalizing and degrading women, their exact point as well. It has normalized to generalize and degrade men for the past few years, and I think especially in the black community, I don't think we've ever been divided as we are in today's climate. Men and women keep trying to compete on who's worse and which one is the one that needs to change, but in reality it's both. If you can't respect men but claim you don't know why you're single, you need to sort yourself out. If you're a man who can't respect some and say it's a woman's fault you're single, you need to get yourself in check. Y'all really need to do some self-accountability because a lot of y'all are lacking on it. I said my piece. I feel like self-accountability is important, but there are, especially women from what I noticed and what I've seen, do not like to take accountability for their actions. And whenever I do listen to some conversations with red pill, I can completely and utterly understand where they're coming from. And then whenever I listen to pink pill, in a lot of cases there are some men who do not want to take responsibility for their actions or be real. They want to blame and point their fingers at somebody else. That is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it.
Alright, y'all, she said it's in the video, so we're gonna cut it off. Another one from Miree. I think that's her name. Hopefully that's her name. Like I said, memory shot. So if I effed up, Kanye shrug, right? But I really did like this video, the way she broke it down. And she looked at, of course she highlighted more so the negatives and everything that revolves around the negative. But she also highlighted the positives of this red pill community and how, the negative does outweigh the positive, no matter how large the positive even is. And y'all did briefly speak about that, and then she talked about different sections, that's a part of the whole manosphere realm that the red pill community also falls in. So she also talked about, the whole idea of high value, not really low value, but you can pretty much understand what low value is based upon high value, and you know how she sees it not being consistent. But you know, I gave my opinion on that, and how you know there is a form of consistency within you know that whole high value conversation. Also, just value in general when it comes to male versus female. That was also something that she brought up that I also liked. What I really liked too, also the beginning, was you know just her bringing up the manosphere and her you know establishing that there are different sections. Because I never see this. Another thing I had noticed about the last video, that I also noticed about this video that I like, is that she brings up ideas that I personally haven't thought about, because I don't really dive too heavy into these topics. Now, going into this whole manosphere thing, it also changes based upon the race of the individual, right? You see it, at least I see it mostly with the black community, and I've seen a few with the white community, but as far as the Asian and Latino community, I haven't seen it as much. Now there is some crossing between them, because ultimately it's still the same ideal, but there is a little difference between them. Am I going to look into that heavily? I don't know. Do I have the time to look into it? I don't know. If it's more videos on it, I probably will check it out. But with this one right here, great video from Miss Miree. Like I said, I was gonna watch it. I watched it. I don't know if blah 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 blah. I don't know if I'm gonna watch any more of her videos. I might be off her head right now. You know what I'm saying? Very interesting topics based on this one and the last one. But we got to move on, love. We got to move on. Anyways, more videos on the way. Do what those typical YouTubers say. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Slide into DMs, hit me up on the Instagram. Things of that nature. I'm out, y'all. Till next time.